On News Hour tonight.
Jama'a kawo mu hanyar dan sadau dauki ga balawo anan sun faru sun samu na bam ga hanya inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un jama'a ku dibi al'ummar da asama.
Many travelers feared dead as multiple explosions rock Zamfara highway. Reactions trail U.S. airstrike on Sokoto communities. Rising cost of living dampers Christmas celebrations in Lagos. And on the foreign scene, Ivory Coast president seeks parliament majority in election. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Mariam Idris. At least 9 people have been killed after 3 improvised explosive devices, IEDs, exploded along Mayaya near Kwankilei Junction on the old Dongolbi Road, close to Ruwandawa village and Magamin Maitarko in Zamfara State. Eyewitnesses say the devices were planted by suspected bandits in 3 different locations. Yunusa Isa, a resident of Malele village, said 4 people died instantly when the first IED detonated, adding that a second IED exploded near a trailer, killing 5 more people and leaving a woman traumatized. Another resident, No Ibrahim of Dansado, said the casualties from the third explosion are still being compiled. Noe explained that Dansado community has frequently suffered bandit attacks, especially following Governor Dauda Lawal's visit. He suggested the attacks may be linked to a recent dispute between Fulani herders and residents of Magami, as well as opposition to a newly awarded road construction project. The Zamfara State Police confirmed that several suspected IEDs exploded along Dansado to Magami Road. The exact number of casualties is still being verified. Now, Daily Trust reporter in Zamfara State, Abdullahi Chakwa, is joining us via phone call to give us an update on the incident. Good evening, Abdullahi. Thank you for joining in.
Good evening, madam.
Yeah. So what more can you tell us about the explosion?
So still the police public relation officer, Yazid Abakar, just issue a release confirming the happening, but still the exact casualties is still, as you have said, they are still gathering data. It's not yet being compiled. But according to one of the El Salvador residents, the one I interviewed, he told me that this incident may not be unconnected with what happened yesterday evening between Magani residents and Fulani. Prior to the incident, there will be let's say, local reconciliation between the Ambandit and the Magani Meterco people, whereby Magani market, they used to bring their cattle sell there. According to Dansada, we said there is one bandit wallo called Goska who is in charge of Dangulbi, and so he used to rescue his cattle from Niger side. So that's where he used to sell it in that market. So as yesterday's evening, the people of the town, Magani town, revolted against that act with the aid of the security agency. So he said that may not be unconnected with the explosive devices that happens will not be unconnected with the incident, and as well as the construction awarded.
Okay, Abdullah, what is the current confirmed death toll and number of injured from the 3 IED explosions? Have any news about that?
It's still 9. The number of those that lost their lives are 9. The problem is that we are still waiting for the arrival of the injured ones. You know how the road is so terrible. They are yet to arrive to Bakura Specialist Hospital here in the state capital. So we are still waiting for them to ascertain the actual numbers of those that were being injured.
Okay. Have security forces identified any suspects or groups responsible for planting the IEDs, and what's been done to apprehend them?
No, security forces, they said they just commenced an investigation on the incident that led to such. They are yet to identify any group, but rather they have deployed the tactical teams as well as the security forces that to ensure that the normalcy has returned in the area. But according to the locals, they told us that what they are suspecting one bandit warlord called Dogo Jadi. They said he's the one that specialized in planting that IED, and he's the one in charge of controlling almost Dutch and Kura, which is between Kezara and Kabasa and Banjibga, including Kalgompa Remana and also Kabasa. All these villages are between 3 local governments, one in Katsina State, while 2 in Zamfara State. The one in Katsina State is in between Faskari, Gusau, and Maru local government area. He is the one that is in charge of that area. So they are suspecting he's the one that masterminded the explosion.
All right, Abdullah, thank you for the update and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Moving on, residents of Jos, the Plateau State capital, have expressed mixed reactions to recent airstrikes carried out by the United States in communities in Tangaza and Offa local government areas of Sokoto and Kwara states. While some see the operation as necessary to curb terrorism, others criticize it, claiming that civilian areas were affected with little impact on the intended targets. Ado Musa reports.
The United States and the Nigerian government have stated that the airstrikes were intended to eliminate members of the dreaded ISIS who have been terrorizing communities in the affected states. However, opinions on the operation remain divided. While some residents welcome the interventions as a necessary step to restore security, others oppose it, questioning the involvement of a foreign military on Nigerian oil.
What America did was on track, given the fact that the issue has persisted. All hands have been on deck, all effort has been made to persuade, to assuage, and to even calm nerves, so that whatever is the reason why this country is being terrorized can be brought to the table, so that it can be discussed and be resolved amicably. And since it did not work the way it ought to be, and we have to go this route.
Anything Nigeria can do to stop banditry, terrorism, and all these things, it's a welcome development whereby the Nigerian government cannot handle the situation. If they decide to seek foreign assistance, it's welcome. So far, we stop all these problems in the country, clean and all this stealing, assaulting, any kind of atrocity. So there's nothing we can do, whereby the government of this country cannot able to handle it.
It's a welcome development because our military
they are weak in tackling this. That's why we need the foreign assistant, in which they did this with the assistant of Nigerian government.
I'm not happy to hear it, because Nigeria is a sovereignty of itself, and if Nigeria will allow an outsider to come into her territory and strike on so-called ISIS that have been existing for a very long time, and you see, Nigeria, I'm going to use that language, or let me borrow what Trump said some weeks ago or last month. We are a shameful nation, to be sincere. If such things will happen in Nigeria at the 21st century, it's an embarrassment, because Nigeria have all it takes to finish these so-called terrorists.
I'm not happy with the development. There is no reason for the US to launch any airstrike in Nigeria. It is our government that is supposed to handle the matter. Terrorists should not be stronger than our government, which has the responsibility to protect us. Allowing a foreign country to intervene shows government failure. How can we be sure the US intervention has no hidden agenda?
The federal government has confirmed that the recent precision airstrike against the Islamic State ISIS terrorist elements in Sokoto State were approved by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In a statement issued on Friday night, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, said the operation was carried out in close coordination with the United States government. According to him, the airstrikes targeted two major ISIS enclaves within the Bauni Forest axis of Tangaza local government area. Intelligence reports indicated that the location served as assembly and staging grounds for foreign ISIS fighters infiltrating Nigeria from the Sahel region in collaboration with local affiliates. The minister said the terrorists were planning large-scale attacks within the country.
Good evening, gentlemen of the press. The federal government of Nigeria, in close coordination with the government of the United States of America, has successfully conducted precision strike operations against two major Islamic State ISIS terrorist enclaves located within the Bauni axis of Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State. Intelligence confirmed that these locations were being used as assembly and staging grounds by foreign ISIS elements infiltrating Nigeria from the Sahel region in collaboration with local affiliates to plan and execute large-scale terrorist attacks within Nigerian territory. The precision strike operations were executed between 12 midnight and 1:30 a.m. on Friday, December 26, 2025, following explicit approval by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. The operation was carried out under established command and control structures with the full involvement of the Armed Forces of Nigeria under the supervision of the Honorable Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff.
Former Senate leader Senator Ali Ndumi has urged the federal government to extend its joint military operations with the United States to Nigeria's northeast region. Ndumi made the call on Saturday while commending recent airstrikes carried out against ISWAP terrorist cells in Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State. The former chairman of the Senate Committee on Army said expanding the joint operations would significantly weaken Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters still operating in the northeast. He also praised President Bola Tinubu for allocating what he described as the highest budgetary provision to the defense sector in the proposed 2026 budget, while stressing the need for transparency and accountability in the use of the funds. Reacting to the recent suicide bomb attack on a mosque in Gamburu, Maiduguri, Ndumi expressed sympathy with the victims and their families as renewed global attention focuses on Nigeria's security challenges. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has criticized the airstrikes carried out by the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM, in Sokoto State, describing them as a reflection of what it calls the historic incompetence of the President Bola Tinubu administration. The United States launched airstrikes targeting ISIS terrorists in the early hours of Friday. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tagar, said the U.S. carried Nigeria along before the operation. In a statement, ADC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi said while the party supports lawful efforts to protect Nigerians, governance failure should not justify foreign military operations on Nigerian soil. He warned that allowing external forces to conduct direct military actions is unsustainable and could undermine Nigeria's long-term strategic interest. The ADC also questioned Nigeria's operational role and called on the federal government to clarify casualties and the number of terrorists killed, insisting that national sovereignty must not be compromised. Again, the African Democratic Congress ADC Youth Wing has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government over the 2025 tax laws recently signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The group says the laws contain controversial and unconstitutional provisions and has warned that failure to address its concerns could lead to nationwide protest and a taxpayer strike. Speaking at a press conference in Kano, ADC National Youth Leader Balarabe Rufai accused the federal government and the National Assembly of imposing what he described as an unfair tax regime that ignores the economic realities of young Nigerians. He alleged that some provisions of the law, including a requirement for taxpayers to deposit 20% of disputed assessment before appeal and powers allegedly granted to the tax officers to make arrests, were inserted without proper legislative approval. The group also raised concerns over a tax cooperation agreement between Nigeria and France, warning of possible risk to national data security. The ADC Youth Wing has given the federal government until January 3rd, 2026 to address its demands or face nationwide resistance. And now Nigerians continue to react to the federal government's plan to implement a tax reform policy beginning in January 2026, with many alleging that the move is not in the best interest of the common man. Trust TV's Adamu Imam spoke with residents of Bauchi who expressed fears that the new tax regime could lead to high inflation of essential commodities once it takes effect.
Residents in Bauchi expressed fears that the new tax regime could lead to high inflation of essential commodities, affecting daily life and business activities.
Going to tax us, everybody that is earning 800,000 per annum will be paying 66 to 75,000 naira, and they are not using it to do anything, this government, because we are not seeing improvement. If you go to hospital, no medicine in the hospital, road, the transportation road, no good roads, no good water, no good NEPA. What are the we masses are achieving? We are achieving nothing, and the tax is on the masses. Last year, this year, or last year, from last year, they are giving us many taxes. Maybe you have.
End of the day, it will be transferred to the masses because the price of things will go up. And then coming back to the issue of the Senate not agreeing, or the House of Rep not agreeing with the government on the issue of the padding, let me call it padding. What the House passed is different from what they returned to the House. So I don't believe, or I didn't think the presidency should be able to do that. But if they do that, it's very, very bad on their own impact because they are not thinking of the masses. Why would they not bring everything at the same time to the Senate, which the Senate has already done justice to the something, so that it will not affect common man? But now putting it in
Many Nigerians believe that tax reform is a deliberate attempt to impose hardship, arguing that the so-called social tax will directly impact everyday business transactions. Others remain skeptical that even locally consumable goods in the Nigerian market could be affected, potentially causing both social and economic disruptions.
There are so many allegations that there are so many insertions in the laws. The laws approved by the National Assembly were not the ones the government is preparing to implement. So this is a very big issue. So I would like to urge the government to take this matter very seriously. It's a very serious issue that the government needs to sit back, do the needful, implement it where necessary, and do the necessary corrections so that Nigerians can be able to benefit from the new tax laws. Otherwise, it's going to turn to the negative.
I believe we are the ones who will suffer the most. Many people have called for the tax to be reviewed or even completely cancelled. But the government remains adamant. Both the rich and the poor will feel the impact of this tax. The price of fuel may also increase at filling stations. This is not the best decision, honestly. Right now, we are buying a basket of tomatoes for 8,000 naira. What do you expect will happen if this tax is implemented? The price could rise to 30,000 naira or even more. That is why we do not support this tax regime at all. The government should stop it. Despite public outcry and calls to halt the tax implementation, the Nigerian government insists on meeting the January 2026 deadline for the policy rollout. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The political landscape in Rivers State is heating up as FCT Minister Nyesom Wike hints that unresolved tensions with Governor Similalayi Fubara could take a new turn. Speaking on Saturday during a briefing with stakeholders from Ahuada East and West local government areas, Wike announced that political activities will resume from January 2026. He criticized individuals who, he said, benefited from the sacrifices of others during the 2023 elections to support President Bola Tinubu, questioning their sudden claims of loyalty. Wike reaffirmed that he and his supporters stood firmly by the president and assured that their efforts will not be in vain. This comes shortly after the annual Thanksgiving of South Development Forum Chairman Chubudom Nwuche in Ochiba, Ahuada East local government area.
But we did it. When it was God supposed to say, Oyamande will stand. You stood stand. I said, Oyamande will stand. And the glory of God will stood. And Oyamande will stand today is very strong. So you are the ones who made the mandate to be strong. After the last step is outside. So all these people now you are seeing, and among them will start that time, when they were needed most, they couldn't sing that. They couldn't come out to say, first from Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Now that you stood and voted for him, and River State won, I tell you, all your struggle will not go in vain. All your struggle will not go in vain. So we have come to let you know that still be strong. Nigerians know us. When we take a decision, we have taken a decision. We don't take decision based on what people have seen. We take a decision based on we are convinced, we believe that this will happen. You stitch them even when you are not in power.
This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Rising cost of living dampens Christmas celebrations in Lagos. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Now let's take a recap of our major stories again. Many travelers feared death as multiple explosions rock Zamfara highway. Reactions trail U.S. airstrikes on Sokoto communities. Now moving on to more stories. The Nigerian army has reported that 881 ISWAP terrorists have surrendered and 438 were neutralized during its third and fourth quarter operations. The army added that 254 weapons were recovered from insurgent enclaves and 366 civilians were rescued. This was disclosed during the Chief of Army Staff's Christmas luncheon with wounded troops of Operation Hatankai at Maimalari Cantonment. The Chief of Army Staff, represented by Major General Godwin Mokut, appreciated the sacrifices of fallen heroes and encouraged the troops to intensify offensive and counter-insurgency operations to restore normalcy in the region. He also commended President Tinubu for providing enhanced funding for operations, improved training, modern weapons acquisition, troop welfare and recruitment.
Under his guidance, we have witnessed improving funding for critical operations, enhanced training infrastructure, the acquisition of modern equipment, and strengthening welfare initiatives for personnel and their families. Mr. President has equally approved an increase in our recruitment quota to significantly boost our manpower to enhance the Nigerian Army's combat readiness. I therefore urge you all to sustain the tempo for the good of our dear nation. We remain focused and resolute in the charge to bring insurgency to an end in the northeast. The period also coincides with our dry season operations in the theater. I therefore assure the Chief of Army Staff of the unwavering commitment of our gallant forces to maintain the tempo of operations. The numerous interventions and provision of assets and platforms have served as enormous combat enablers and force boosters.
His Excellency has expressed without a flinch of doubt that he will continue to partner with the armed forces and provide maximum support to the armed forces in terms of equipment, logistics, and all it takes to make sure that peace, security is completely restored to Borno and the Northeast in general.
The Kebbi State Police Command has arrested 5 suspected kidnappers and recovered 10 locally fabricated firearms in separate operations across the state. The suspects, Ali Muhammad Sambawa, Saliu Haruna, Suleiman Isa, Dan Isa Yakubu and Ilya Banu were arrested in Kalgo and Donko Wasagu local government areas. Police spokesperson SP Bashir Usman said some of the suspects were unable to explain how they came into possession of the weapons recovered from them. In Donko Wasagu, Iliabano was arrested for allegedly threatening to kidnap a village head and another resident unless a ransom of 500,000 naira was paid. He reportedly confessed and named an accomplice who is still at large. Another suspect, Dan Isa Yakubu, was also arrested for allegedly demanding 1 million naira under threat of kidnapping. The Commissioner of Police, Bello Sani, said the arrest followed sustained patrols and actionable intelligence, adding that investigations are ongoing. The federal government is set to deploy 7,000 newly trained forest guards in Adamawa, Borno, Kwara, Kebbi, Niger, Sokoto, and Yobe to tackle insecurity in forested and ungoverned areas. National Security Advisor Nur Badu, speaking at the graduation in Yola, Adamawa, said the guards will gather intelligence, support ongoing security operations, and help restore state presence where it has been absent. The guards completed a 3-month intensive training with instructors from the Nigerian Army, Navy, DSS, Police, NSCDC, National Park Service, and NIA, covering endurance, patrol simulations, and obstacle exercises. This initiative, launched by President Bola Tinubu under the Presidential Forest Guards Program, will expand nationwide after the pilot phase, with more recruits being trained across additional states. Governor Ahmad Fintiri urged the guards to serve residents with civility while performing their duties. Now, the Kwara State government says terrorists, kidnappers, and criminal elements now have no place to hide following the completion of training for 1,000 forest guards who have been immediately deployed across the state. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak, speaking at the passing out parade in Ilorin, described the initiative as a game changer for the state's security, noting that forest guards drawn from local communities will work alongside conventional security forces to flush out criminals. The governor revealed plans to station at least 200 guards in each local government area and urged residents to support the effort with credible intelligence. He also commended President Bola Tinubu for championing forest protection as part of national security. The Presidential Forest Guards Initiative has already graduated over 7,000 guards from 7 frontline states, including Adamawa, Borno, Kebbi, Niger, Sokoto, Yobe, and Kwara. National Security Advisor Nur Badu emphasized their dual mandate, safeguarding forests while tackling banditry, insurgency, and other crimes. The ceremony featured tactical demonstrations on self-defense, combat readiness, and operations against kidnapping, cattle rustling, illegal mining, and deforestation. President Bola Tinubu made a vibrant appearance at Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos on Saturday to join residents and tourists in celebrating the long-awaited Eyo Festival, which was last held in 2017. Dressed in the festival's traditional all-white attire, the president complimented his look with a black akete that adorned with a hat adorned with white stripes and stars, and a black and white cloth draped over his shoulder. On arrival, he was warmly received by Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat. The festival began with colorful processions featuring residents, visitors, and spectators, bringing the city alive with music, chants, and dance.
Ladies and gentlemen, shall we rise as we
In the meantime, a wave of outrage has erupted on social media after videos emerged showing Eyo masquerades assaulting a man during the 2025 Eyo Festival in Lagos. The footage, circulating since Saturday, shows 4 men in traditional white regalia and right hats striking a man with their staves, while other masked participants joined in as spectators looked on. In a separate video, residents were seen throwing chairs and objects at another group of masquerades during a procession as tensions escalated near a gate. The causes of these confrontations have not been confirmed, but Nigerians on social media condemned the violence, emphasizing that the festival is meant to be a sacred cultural celebration. The 2025 Eyo Festival, the first since 2017, had high-profile attendees, including President Bola Tinubu and Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Despite the festive atmosphere, these incidents have raised concerns over crowd control and masquerade behavior. Authorities have yet to comment. As Nigerians marked the festive season, many say celebrations were dampened by the country's rising cost of living, with high food prices and transportation fares placing holiday, travel, and family gatherings out of reach for many. The report.
For Ebuka, the economic strain was impossible to ignore. He says the soaring cost of food and basic household items made the festive period difficult for workers and families. According to him, even large sums of money no longer go far in local markets.
The economy is too high because the cost of living is too high, because if you go out with like 20 or 30 times to go and buy things in the market, you cannot even boost up some things, items that you need to buy. But what I'm trying to let government know that at least they should minimize in terms of economy, in terms of food stuff, and also transportation, because this December a lot of people did not travel because of transportation. Everything, like people are traveling to East now. Imagine if you want to travel now, you pay like 53k, 73k. You want to travel, go back to your village. It's not proper. Look at the government for Abia State, what they are doing. Their governor bring out buses for them to travel from here to Lagos, free buses. But yeah, I don't know what the government of Lagos is doing. So we are urging for the call of the government for them to help us to put things in order. You understand? Because poor masses there, we have a lot of poor masses here in Nigeria, and especially in Lagos, the population are getting higher.
Speaking during a brief street interview, Moses Ajayi shared similar concerns, noting that the worsening economic situation significantly affected how families celebrated Christmas this year.
Christmas celebrations, we really get it very difficult because of the situation of the country, insecurity and hardship. People are suffering about it. So it's only God, by the grace, we celebrate the Christmas, and we pray, let the situation of the country, let this insecurity be over. Let the government, the officials, think about the masses, because masses are really suffering. They are not getting things easy. And all the killings end up at the masses. So our leaders, let them be a leader, a true leader, not just the name. If they are leaders, at least the masses will get things the way it is. That is the failure of the leadership. That's why people are facing these difficulties, killings and crying. People are getting things very difficult.
Despite the challenges, some Nigerians remain hopeful. Looking ahead to the new year, Olulade expressed optimism that conditions would improve, both in terms of personal finances and the nation's economy.
Better than this year, should be much better, and things should be better than this year, because this year is so things are so expensive and cost of living is so high and there's no money, we have to manage. So next year we should not manage, we should be in money, we should have a lot of money to celebrate Christmas.
As the festive season draws to a close, many Nigerians say the celebrations reflected the country's broader economic realities. While hardship defined the holidays for many, citizens continue to hold on to hope that the new year will bring relief and renewed opportunities.
On a sad note, one person has died and 4 others sustained injuries in a fatal road accident at Northia axis near Enugu Agidi Junction along the Awka-Onitsha Expressway in Anambra State. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, confirmed that 5 people, 2 male adults, 2 female adults, and 1 female child were involved in the crash. The incident, which involved a Mercedes-Benz 4MATIC SUV, reportedly resulted from suspected speed violation, tire burst, and loss of vehicle control. The injured were taken to the hospital, while the deceased was deposited in a nearby morgue and the vehicle towed to Ogbunuike Police Station. FRSC Anambra Sector Commander Bridget Asekwano expressed condolences to the bereaved family and urged motorists to obey traffic rules, maintain their vehicles, and drive safely to prevent similar tragedies. The governor of Gombe State, Muhammad Yahaya, has expressed deep sorrow over a tragic motor accident that claimed the lives of 7 people from Lawanti community in Aku local government area. The victims were reportedly traveling to Maiduguri, Borno State, to attend a wedding ceremony when the accident occurred. In a statement signed by his Director General of Press Affairs, Ismaila Misili, Governor Yahaya described the incident as a devastating loss to the families, the Lawanti community, and the state as a whole. The governor commiserated with families who lost loved ones, including the district head of Jalingo, Bello Hassan Babangida, and others in the community. He prayed for the forgiveness of the deceased and wished them Al-Jannatul Firdaus, while urging residents to remain strong in the face of this tragic loss. Now, the Kaduna state has risen to 2nd position in the latest Ease of Doing Business ranking, a development attributed to infrastructure expansion and investor-friendly reforms under Governor Uba Sani. The disclosure was made by the Commissioner for Business Innovation and Technology, Patience Fakai, during a press briefing in Kaduna.
Kaduna State has climbed from 8th position in 2023 to 2nd place nationwide in the latest Sub-National Ease of Doing Business ranking released by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. Commissioner for Business Innovation and Technology, Patience Fakai, said the achievement reflects the reform-driven leadership of Governor Obasani with a strong focus on infrastructure development, land administration reforms, and private sector-led growth. She explained that the assessment covered 16 indicators, including taxation, digital connectivity, and land administration, with Kaduna recording a 65.1% score, the highest in northern Nigeria.
And this framework that is done every 2 years. We've had, they just did a recent one, that's 2025, the previous one, 2023. And it helps to effectively see how state governments implement measures like enhanced transparency in the way businesses are done in the state, and also improve how service delivery is being improved in the state.
Fakai said the Kaduna State Investment Promotion Agency has been repositioned as a one-stop investment hub to reduce bureaucracy, fast-track approvals, and improve investor aftercare services. She added that the reforms have boosted the state's internally generated revenue from 62 billion naira in 2023 to over 71 billion naira in 2025.
The cost of doing business, how is it done? Is it reducing, or how cost effective is it? So the ranking was done this year, 2025, and Kaduna State came second nationwide and the first in the north. But previously, in 2023, Kaduna State was ranked 8th with 6.18%, and now this year the state has been ranked with 65.1%, which shows that the state has moved.
The commissioner expressed confidence that Kaduna would emerge as the top-ranked state in the next ease of doing business assessment, as ongoing reforms continue to attract investment, create jobs, and drive economic growth.
In business, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, has urged the federal government to privatize the Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries managed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Petron's national president, Billy Gillis Harry, said in a recent statement that years of public investment in the refineries have yielded little to no output. He argued that continued government ownership wastes resources and slows progress in the downstream petroleum sector. Gillis Harry emphasized that privatization could make the plants productive rather than waiting indefinitely for state-led rehabilitation. The call comes as debates continue over the future of Nigeria's 4 state-owned refineries. NNPCL's Group Chief Executive Bayo Ojulari noted that privatization remains an option following facility reviews. Still on business news, the Nigerian Independent System Operator, NISO, has reported a notable improvement in power generation following the repair of the vandalized Lagos Escravos gas supply infrastructure. The repairs carried out by the Nigerian Gas Infrastructure Company, NGIC, have restored gas flow to key thermal power plants across the country. NISO says gradual power offtake is underway to ensure a smooth recovery while maintaining stability in both the gas supply network and the national electricity grid. Other thermal plants remain on standby and will be integrated into the grid as the gas supply is confirmed, boosting generation capacity and reducing the risk of outages. The operator emphasized ongoing collaboration with power generation companies, gas suppliers, and regulators to address operational challenges in real time, while urging consumers to continue practicing energy conservation. And on the foreign scene, scuffles broke out on Saturday as Ivory Coast held parliamentary elections 2 months after 83-year-old President Alassane Ouattara won the 4th-term presidential election, extending his 14-year rule. Over 8 million voters are registered to elect members of the National Assembly, where the ruling party currently holds a majority. Voting in Abidjan's main districts opened late due to torrential rain, and early turnout was low in areas like Kokodi and Yopougon. More than 40,000 security personnel remain deployed following the presidential election to maintain order. Ouattara himself cast his ballot at Notre Dame College in Plateau under a portrait of the nation's founding president, Felix Houphouët-Boigny. Elections in Ivory Coast have historically been marred by political tensions and occasional violence, raising concerns ahead of results. Still on the foreign scene, the remains of Libya's Chief of Staff, General Mohammed al-Haddad, and his advisors who died in a plane crash near Ankara are said to be repatriated on Saturday, the Turkish Defense Ministry has announced. The Falcon 50 jet crashed less than 40 minutes after takeoff on Tuesday, killing al-Haddad, 4 advisors and 3 crew members, including 2 French nationals. Turkish Defense Minister Yasar Gula presided over a ceremony at Murted Air Base where the plane's black box was recovered. Authorities cited an electrical failure, but a full investigation will be conducted by a neutral country, possibly Germany. The plane was chartered from Malta-based Hamadi Jet, which maintained its fleet in France. In a rare show of unity, Libya's rival governments in Tripoli and Benghazi have declared 3 days of national mourning as the country continues to struggle with political divisions since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. Now it's time for Sport Update with Joseph Peter.
The Authentic Nigeria Football and Allied Supporters Club ANFAS has touched down in Morocco, led by National President Prince Abayomi Ogunjimi, and they are ready to bring the house down. The delegation includes passionate fans, coordinators, organizers, and the ANFAS driver of vibes, the instrumentalists who are geared up to deliver the iconic Nigerian fan energy that has fueled the Super Eagles for decades. Their arrivals follows ANFAC's earlier pledge of unwavering support for the team at AFCON 2025. Despite some institutional hiccups leading up to the tournament, the club's commitment remained unshaken, driven by patriotism, unity, and deep love for the national team. Upon arrival, Prince Ogunjimi emphasized that ANFAC's mission goes beyond just watching the Super Eagles play. It's about feeling every moment with them, bringing the rhyme, energy, and soul that Nigeria is known for, from heartfelt chants to beating drums and spirited songs. These musical elements are central to the Nigerian fan experience and will undoubtedly lift the team's spirit. ANFAC's presence is timely as the Super Eagles gear up for tough group matches and the pursuit of continental glory. The club believes its role is crucial in providing positive psychological support, reinforcing the idea that Nigeria's heart beats with the Super Eagles no matter where they play. The Supporters Club extends its gratitude to Nigeria at home and abroad for their encouragement, prayers, and belief in the team's potential. They are dedicated to peaceful, passionate, and organized support, showcasing the best of Nigerian fan culture throughout AFCON 2025. As the tournament unfolds, ANFAC urge all Nigerians to stay united, support the Super Eagles through every challenges, and celebrate Nigeria's rich football legacy with pride and dignity. Still on AFCON 2025, the Confederation of Africa Football (CAF) has come out to firmly deny claims that fans will be allowed free access to stadiums at the ongoing 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Report has circulated suggesting that CAF, alongside the local organizing committee LOC, approved free entry into match venues following concerns over low attendance across several stadiums. So far, only fixtures involving the host nations have attracted full stands. However, CAF has dismissed those reports as false, stressing that tickets will remain on sale for all matches until the tournament comes to an end. The football governing body made it clear that there has been no directive for free admission at any venue. The competition resumed on Saturday with 4 matches lined up across different centers. One of the headline games will be the Super Eagles of Nigeria facing the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia in a keenly anticipated encounter. AFCON 2025 continues to build momentum as teams battle for progression, with organizers insisting that normal ticketing procedures remain in place throughout the tournament. That's Sport News. My name is Joseph Peter.
And with that, we've come to the end of the news hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news. I am Maria Idris. Thank you for watching.